Hey, everybody, and welcome to lesson 29 of A Course in Miracles. As always, I'm so very excited about tonight, y'all. Um, very impactful message, and the title of the message tonight is Thank You for Being Here. Thank you for being here. And so I'm going to read lesson 29. Lesson 29 says, God is in everything I see. And actually the Course in Miracles lesson and the session, the actual lesson are very close together because we are talking about that God is in everything I see. Um, and thank you for being here. Thank giving appreciation to everyone who is here. So acknowledging the divine in everyone and everything. So I was speaking to a close friend of mine last week and I told him, thank you for being here. And my statement was incredibly layered. Thank you for being here, not only here in this present moment, but thank you for your blessings that you share with others. Thank you for your specific ray of God light that you bring with you. Thank you for your decision to be here on this planet at this time. Everyone and everything contributes to the evolution of humanity. Everybody is important. Everyone who takes up space in this physical plane has chosen to be here. Each and every one of us volunteered to share our light during this very transformative time right now here on Mother Earth. You are not merely a result of two people joining together to make a baby. And we've talked about this before in my lesson titled Why Are We Here? So please check that video out if you hadn't seen it. But you meticulously planned your life from who your parents would be to the color of your skin to the exact moment that you would wake up to the knowledge of the divine being that you are. You courageously decided to take the plunge into this dense realm. And why would we do that? Why would you do such a thing as to leave your loving home to come here and carry this heavy body, to carry this costume around? You did it to light up the world, to bring heaven here on earth. And to that I say, thank you. Thank you for being here. God is in everything we see, from the dirt that yields the fruits and vegetables that we eat, to the animals, to the stuffed teddy bear that our children carry around with us. God is in everything. The more we understand this, the more we will develop a deep sense of respect for everything the eye can see, both animate and inanimate objects, human or not. Everything and everyone has purpose. It has become a common practice, for example, for law enforcement to bring a teddy bear or a stuffed animal with them when they're about to go to a home where children have experienced some kind of traumatic event. It could be a domestic violence situation or a house fire or something like that, and where they will bring some kind of teddy bear with them for that child in that moment. What value does that inanimate object hold? Right? We all understand that in that moment, that stuffed animal holds the love and security that that child needs. That stuffed animal reminds them of heaven, of their true home. When that child hugs that teddy bear, they are releasing the anxiety and fear that they are have hold on to their body. They release it into that animal. Um, and it provides a sense of stability for them. So if we look at it that way, a stuffed animal is no longer something to be discarded. A doll, a toy horse, or whatever is no longer something to be discarded. And this is why, even as our children become teenagers, those of you who have kids will know your kids do not want to let go of your stuffed animals. We have 50,203 and five stuffed animals upstairs, and I'm like, it's always a battle for me to get them to let them go. But I get it. I get it. They've built relationships with these inanimate objects, and so in that way, we have to get to a new appreciation with everything that we see. There's actually a lesson in A Course in Miracles that talks about that. Seeing everything with fresh eyes, seeing God in everything that we see. At first glance, that lesson is like, what is he talking about? Is God in this trash can? Is God in this table? But everything has value. And just because we assign it a value doesn't mean that it's limited to that value. And so we're going to talk more and more about that. So everything is God is in everything we see. So I'm going to give you guys this story of that I have never ever forgotten. I remember years ago when I first woke up to who I am, to who we are. I was picking up my oldest daughter from her friend's house. And as I was waiting on her to come down, like my daughter was upstairs with the friend, I'm waiting on my daughter to come down. And as I'm standing at the foot of the steps, I noticed that they had a beautiful, well behaved dog sitting next to her friend's mother in their living room. And so I'm freshly awake. I'm like all over the place, right? So I look at the dog directly in her eyes, and I told her mentally, thank you for being here. And after I said this, in my mind, the dog immediately got up and came next to me so that I can pet her. And the friend's mother was surprised. And so she told the dog to go upstairs. And as the dog was going upstairs, the woman began saying, she was like, she never walks up to strangers like that. But see, I knew the dialogue that the dog and I shared. I knew that we had exchanged words, not verbally, but mentally. She heard my words telepathically, and she felt my heart. And she understood that I saw her beyond her form, that I saw God in her. And even I was surprised at how quickly she responded to my words, to me sharing my heart. And I've never forgotten that. I can't tell you the friend's name. I can't tell you her mother's name. I can't tell you where they live, but I have never forgotten what I shared with that being in that moment and how she responded to me. And it added to my realization of how powerful we all are, and that we are all one and we are all connected. Romans chapter 8, verses 18 through 21 in the Bible states, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. For the creation waits in eager anticipation for the child of God to be revealed, for the children of God to be revealed. Verse 20 says, for the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. All of creation, y'all, is waiting on us all to wake up. They're waiting on us to wake up. Creation is frustrated. The trees, the plants, the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, they are all waiting for humanity to wake up to who we are, for the veil of ignorance to lift from us. We're the ones who are unconscious. And the irony is that most human beings, not all, but the vast majority of us walk around assuming that we are higher than other life forms. There is no higher or lower. It's just a different experience. And in actuality, animals are telepathic. Some of us have demonstrated that. They hear our thoughts, they feel our feelings. It's us who have not evolved to that point yet, but we're getting there. We are. There are some people who have reached enlightenment and can hear the thoughts of others. So try this exchange whenever you can. Communicate telepathically to your animals around you. You have to, of course, they have to be focused and calm enough to look at you directly in your eyes and try it. It is an it's an incredible experience. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how they respond. I would love to hear the results. So now is the time that we engage with others beyond our conditioning. Now is the time for us to open our eyes all the way. This is what Jesus is telling us in lesson 7, where he says, I see only the past. In lesson 9, where he says, I see nothing as it is now. In these early lessons and of course in miracles, Jesus is helping us to recognize that the conditioned mind sees everything behind the lens of the past, right? And we've talked about this before, where we see everyone and everything according to how we have been conditioned to see them. We've been conditioned to see others as separate from us, and we have our bodies to demonstrate that belief, right? We have this whole illusion to demonstrate the belief that we are separate. But remember that this experience is an illusion. It is not the truth of who we really are. We've been conditioned, y'all, to see animals as lesser beings, but animals, and nobody will deny this. Anybody who has a pet understands that that pet raises your vibration immediately. And collectively, they raise the vibration of the planet. Where would we be if it were not for our beautiful, beautiful pets? So we've been conditioned to see those with autism as having a lesser experience and contribution than the rest of the world. This is not true. Have you ever considered the vibration that children and adults with autism have? These beings are not as likely to be caught in the shadow of the ego as we often are. Think about the energetic purity that they emit. Consider the high vibration that they carry. It's time to see others as godlike beings, regardless of the conditioned responses we're used to having. To see others as that dynamic divine being that they are. when I was actually, after I worked on this lesson, this video, I mean, I always get these synchronicities. And this video came up on my YouTube feed where there was a young man. It was a graduating high school, where they were having their graduation, and one of the students had autism. And so during the graduation, the principal came up and he said, "Listen, so and so, I forget his name. He has autism, so it's very important. We're going to let him come up and get his diploma first. And it's very important that we don't make any noise because, as we know, people with autism cannot handle the loud noises. It really stresses them." And so it took a while for him. He was escorted by his brother and I think his father. And they walked him up to the stage, and he was like bracing himself for the loud. Like you could see him in the video kind of getting ready for the noise, but you could hear a pin drop in that entire room. It was so silent. And I thought, wow, you know what? How many bullies are there in a typical high school? How many, people who are in cliques? How many people who are in gangs? How many arrogant people are there? How many immature people are there? But in that moment, that being who had autism was able to bring out the very highest version of everybody in that auditorium. And that in and of itself was very impactful. And they waited. They waited until he got up, got the diploma, walked down the steps, and exited, and no one made any noise. As a matter of fact, they stood up out of respect for him. And a lot of people did the symbol of, clapping or excited and kind of did that for him. And it was just beautiful. And I just thought, this is like really incredible. Um, have you ever looked in the eyes of a baby and sensed the power and courage behind their eyes? Look at them in their eyes and tell them, "Thank you for being here." Did you know that the process of being born is oftentimes more traumatizing for the soul than the body actually dying? For a soul to come in to this place of separation, to leave oneness and to come into this place of separation, and carry these heavy bodies, and to be born into this dense realm of, most of the time, unconscious parents, that requires incredible courage. This is why babies sleep so much. The soul is trying to integrate the density of their new surroundings. And so, everyone, we all should really respect the courage it takes to incarnate on this physical plane. Everyone deserves our respect on the deepest levels. Our society tends to not value the elderly, not value those with developmental challenges, not value our children, tell them you should be seen and not heard, and not value their opinions. But everyone on this physical plane deserves our respect. Um, and children, if they hadn't been beaten down by the world, they carry a high vibration as well. All of that contributes to the evolution of all of us, of the entire planet. Um, so their contribution is priceless. God is in everything. I was looking at a documentary about trees, And they were saying we are just beginning to realize how dynamic forests really are. They were saying that the oldest trees, they call them mother trees. Not surprisingly, that the oldest trees has the most wisdom, and they feed their resources to all the other trees in the forest. So when we cut off the oldest trees, thinking, that's how we treat our elderly, they're no longer valuable. Um, we are unconsciously cutting off one of the greatest resources in the forest, and the most essential resources that the forest needs to survive. So these researchers, they also learned that trees have an incredibly sophisticated communication system, that what's underneath the ground, the roots, which we do not see, is actually the foundation of the whole forest. So, of course, that sounds familiar. Oftentimes, nature demonstrates to us the truth of who we are. Nature is showing us that what we see is only a product of what we do not see. Underground is where all the stuff happens that allows the forest to exist, just like us. What we see is a product of what we do not see, our belief system, our thoughts. What we see, if we see in our world what we don't like, we have to go within and assess our thoughts, and realize that what we do not see is what is contributing to what we see. So they did an experiment, right? They planted a colony of trees, and they placed a group of insects on one of the trees, just on one of the trees, to see what would happen. And so after the insects began to attack this particular tree, they saw that through the root system, that tree sent messages to the other trees warning them that these insects are here and they are attacking. And amazingly, the researchers saw that the other trees immediately developed protective barriers on their branches as a result of that heads up. They likened the communication system of the forest to the internet. Like they had a whole diagram to show this dynamic communication system that the forest had, and it's incredible. But we assume that all this is not going on. These trees are holy beings, just like we are. They love one another, just like we do. They also learned that the forest did not survive with only one type of tree. That when we unconsciously apply our own belief systems on the forest by planting a community of only one type of tree, like an oak tree, that these trees did not thrive. Only those forests that had a vast array of trees were the most resilient. Needless to say, we have a lot to learn from nature, right? In essence, the forest knows and understands that diversity is its strength, not the desire to only see and interact with beings that look like you. That they are most resilient when they have all kinds of trees around them. So it was just, the documentary was just fascinating. It was titled Intelligent Trees. So check it out, y'all. It was incredible. So when I do sit down and look at TV, I try to be selective about what I watch. And I ask myself, like, what would God give his attention to? What would God watch? You know, and you'll be amazed at how enlightening some of the documentaries can be if you dig for them. Um, anyway, I am going to reference a something in the Course in Miracles, page 15, that really hit home for me when I was preparing this lesson. It's on page 15 in paragraph 2. It says, child of God. That's us, child of God. You were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Do not forget this. The love of God for a little while must still be expressed through one body to another because vision is still so dim. You can use your body best to help you enlarge your perception so you can achieve real vision of which the physical eye is incapable. Jesus is speaking beyond what our physical eyes can see. He says, learning to do this is the body's only true usefulness. So Jesus starts out by calling us what we are, children of God. And I love it. And he says, child of God, you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. And he's telling us that for a little while we're still in these bodies for a little while, we are here to express the love of God from one body to another. And he calls our vision dim. He says, because vision is still so dim. Um, Jesus refers to our vision as dim. Have you ever tried to get work done in a dim, in a room with dim light? Like there is nothing more frustrating than trying to read, write, put a nail in the wall or anything with dim light. It's not much you can do. He's saying that we can use our bodies to enlarge our perception, to attain true vision beyond what the physical eye can see. This is what we're talking about. Let's turn the light all the way on so that we can clearly see ourselves and others. Who says we can't communicate telepathically with animals? Who says that our children are not speaking to their spirit guides when they have their imaginary friends? They have true vision. And parents, please do not talk your children out of that vision by discounting what they tell you when they come up to you and tell you what they see. The Bible says if we are to enter into the kingdom of heaven, which is within, right? We must be as little children. So let's express the love of God to one another while we're here. Once we open our minds to seeing God in everything and everyone, we will be amazed at what opens up to us. Remember, the world we see is a result of our thoughts and our beliefs. Imagine if we did what Jesus said and enlarge our perception and attain true vision. That is something to be very excited about. So this morning, when I was listening to my Course in Miracles lesson for the day, a lot of times when I have to rush the kids off to school, I'll listen to the Course in Miracles lesson from Tina's page while I'm driving, right? But sometimes, like, I felt like I really needed to go home and read the lesson from the book instead of just listening to Tina read it. Sometimes it's hard to truly grasp and appreciate the lesson when we hear it being read to us, especially as the lessons get more and more lengthy over time. I knew, like, when I read the lesson, it's like I'm like, wait a minute, there is so much rich information that I'm not absorbing just listening to it. So when I got home and I read the lesson, y'all, it was so relevant to today's session and so impactful that tears came to my eyes. So I want to read a portion of this lesson to y'all, if you will allow me. That's how impactful it is. It's lesson 184, and it's titled "The Name of God is My Inheritance." So, in paragraphs 1 through 2, let me read that. The name of God is my inheritance. It says, "You live by symbols. You have made up names for everything you see. Each one becomes a separate entity, identified by its own name, right? By this, you carve it out of unity. By this, you designate its special attributes and set it off from other things by emphasizing space surrounding it. This space you lay between all things to which you give a different name, all happenings in terms of place and time, all bodies which are greeted by a name. This space you see as setting off all things from one another is the means by which the world's perception is achieved. You see something where nothing is, and you see as well nothing where there is unity, a space between all things and you. Thus, do you think that you have given life in separation? By this split, you think you are established as a unity which functions with an independent will. So, what is Jesus saying? Jesus is saying that in this world, we have created symbols so that we can communicate with one another, like we have to, right? And through that, we have named everything we see. That's a tree. That's Charmaine. That's Brittany. We give everything and everyone a name, and it says that we've named everything we see, and the space between everything we see, we ignore, right? Because to us, that's nothing. Um, and so Jesus is saying, so we see something where there is nothing, and we see nothing where there is unity. The unity is the space between everything. So this is incredible. There's more, y'all. There's more. I thought this was so deep. So I'm gonna skip over to paragraph 8. This was a long lesson. Paragraph 8. So check this out. It says, "Think not you made the world. Illusions, yes, but what is true in earth and heaven is beyond your naming. When you call upon a brother or sister, it is to his body that you make appeal. His true identity is hidden from you by what you believe he or she really is. His or her body makes response to what you call him as, for his mind consents to take the name you give him as his own. And thus his unity is twice denied, for you perceive him separate from you, and he accepts this separate name as his." So this is powerful. It's saying when you call upon a brother or sister, it is their body of which you make an appeal. Their true identity is hidden from you by what you believe they really are. And if you call, and their mind consents to that. So if you call your children, they'll respond. Even if you call your pet, they'll come to you. But who they truly are is hidden from you. That's powerful. Um, Paragraphs 11 through 12, it says, "Use all the little names and symbols which delineate the world of darkness, yet accept them not as your reality. The Holy Spirit uses all of them, but he does not forget creation has one name, one meaning, and a single source which unifies all things within. within itself. Use all the names the world bestows on them for convenience. Yet do not forget they share the name of God along with you. Paragraph 12 says, God has no name, and yet his name becomes the final lesson that all things are one. And all this lesson does, all learning, and at this lesson does all learning end. All names are unified. All space is filled with truth's reflection. Every gap is closed and separation healed. The name of God is the inheritance he gave to those who chose the teaching of the world to take the place of heaven. In our practicing, our purpose is to let our minds accept what God has given as the answer to the pitiful inheritance you made as fitting tribute to the son or daughter he loves. So Jesus is saying use these names that you all have, developed and created. And my daughter just asked me yesterday, she has a trinket on her necklace, and she was like, Mom, what are we going to name her? So Jesus says, use these names. I mean, it's the way that we communicate, but do not forget that they share the name of God along with you. Um, and then Jesus has at the end of this lesson was so powerful, y'all. At the end of this lesson, Jesus has a prayer that I'm going to read. It says, Father, our name is yours. In it, we are united with all living things, and you who are their one creator. What we made and called by many different names is but a shadow we have tried to cast across your own reality. And we are glad and thankful we were wrong. All our mistakes we give to you, that we may be absolved from all effects our error seems to have. And we accept the truth you give in place of every one of them. Your name is our salvation and escape from what we made. Your name unites us in the oneness, which is our inheritance and peace. Amen. Lord have mercy. Y'all, I was like doing the holy dance. Like, this is like incredible. Um, it's so relevant. And it just reminds us that we are all divine beings. And it invites everyone to brighten your vision and recognize every single thing and being as a divine spark of light. As you recognize God within yourself, to recognize it within another. So this book is powerful. I found that, for all of us who are, continuing with the lessons, I hope we all are. Um, Sometimes hearing it being read on YouTube as you're driving or whatever, just sometimes you gotta, because there's so, if Jesus has written a paragraph, you better believe it's so much in that paragraph that you would just miss. Like, this is my second year of studying A Course in Miracles. And I don't even remember that lesson. I probably just heard it. Uh, but to read it and to take your time and make sure you understand every word is a powerful thing. So if there are anybody who does not have A Course in Miracles and want one, please let me know. It's very important to have. That's what I have, y'all. Do you all have any comments, questions, impressions? Hey, Ebony. Anybody have any impressions about the lesson tonight? Um, I was encouraged, and this theme is going to continue through A Course in Miracles. Again, Jesus keeps talking about vision. He keeps talking about our perception of the world, and really, really wants us to break away from the conditioning, break away from the limited conditioning that we've all experienced throughout our lives, from childbirth to who we are now. Um, to really see people as God. But that's it for me. Does anybody have anything? If not, before we go, I know Khadidra has something to share. She wanted to share a link for us. So I'm gonna let Khadidra. You wanted to share the link that you wanted to share to the group.
Oh yes, I'll put it in the chat before everyone takes off. But um, like for my mornings, probably like many of you on the call and are listening, you kind of want to start your morning off, in a higher space. So for some of you that may be meditating or maybe praying, talking to God. So for me, it's usually some form of music, and usually it's gospel music. But lately I've been, being in Loretta sports, I've been more sensitive to some of the words, and the songs that I typically enjoy. Saying things like "I'm not worthy of your love" and just things that I hear and I'm like, that doesn't really resonate with me anymore. And so I find myself having to listen selectively, which gets to just be like a lot of work. It's not easy for me. So I was looking for something, just really just music or something that I could digest, as I'm getting ready for the day or preparing a meal, or just something for me to take in to start my day. And so in doing that, I found a piece by Janae Aiko. And if any of you have heard it, please please chime in, because I would love to hear what you think about it. But it's called Trigger Protection Mantra. So it's like a mind release. It just allows you really to use it, as you see fit for yourself. So it's not so much a song as much as it is just a piece of hers, a mantra, and it's really nice. It gives me that balance of taking me higher in a very calming way, but also kind of relaxing me and allowing me to just do what I'm doing. So I'm not, I'm still active. I'm still, having my morning routine, but I'm taking in just some light, something spiritual to kind of get me going. So I'll get the link now and I'll share it in the chat.
Yes, and I listened to it, and she has a beautiful voice, and
Mm-hmm.
what a nice way of her to utilize her voice. It's very relaxing. I'm gonna put it in the description box for everybody to click on. But I thought that would be great to share with everybody who looked at the video, and everybody. So it's beautiful. It's a great way to start your day out in a calming way. If you suffer from anxiety, it's just a great way to listen and just kind of relax and meditate actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice. It's really nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Khadidra. Thank you. And that's it. I love y'all. Thank you for joining. And I'll see y'all later. All right. Bye bye.